Okay, here we go. This is the second section of Unit 6. It's all about still rational expressions that are going to have a numerator and a denominator, but this time we're either going to be multiplying them together or dividing them. We'll see that on the next page. So normally with these, what you want to do is first factor both the numerator and the denominator, see what you can cancel out, and then re-multiply them back together. But sometimes with an example like this, it might be easier for you to do the multiplication first. So I'm going to show you these two problems because the approach is a little bit different for each. So for this one, remember when we're multiplying fractions, we go straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So when we go across the top, 5 times 6 is 30. And then when we deal with these exponents, x squared times x cubed, remember when we're multiplying, we add these exponents together. So this is going to be x to the 5th power. And then here, y to the 1st times y squared is going to end up being y cubed because we're going to add those exponents together. So you do have to remember your exponent rules here. And then 2 times 10 is 20. And we only have one x down here, so we'll deal with that. And then y cubed times y to the 1st, that's 3 plus 1, which is y to the 4th. Okay, so there we have the multiplication done, and now it's just a matter of us simplifying this. So 30 over 20 we can rewrite as 3 halves. And then remember with our x's, x to the 5th over x to the 1st, when you're dividing, you can subtract. So if you think of this as x to the 1st here, this is really 5 minus 1. So we have an x to the 4th up on top. And then here, you think about y cubed over y to the 4th. When you subtract those, 3 minus 4 is negative 1, so that allows our y to be in the denominator. If that piece confuses you, you can always take those and think about them like this. So you can rewrite here 5 x's and 3 y's, and then on the bottom 1x and 4 y's. So if you do it like that, you can cancel out. This x disappears with this one, so you're left with 4 here. That's where this 4 came from. And then here, these y's cancel out, and you just end up with 1 y on the bottom. So if you like that way better, it's okay. If you want to think of it like that too, that's fine. So the next one over, you are actually following these directions up here where you're factoring first and then cross cancel and multiply. So here we're going to be able to take a w out of both of these. So we have a w in common up on top. That leaves us with 4w minus 3y. On the bottom we have a 5 in common. We can pull that out and we end up with w plus y. And then over here, there's nothing here that we can pull out. W plus y, nothing in common. Same thing down here. 4w minus 3y there. Now we can start kind of cross-canceling. So remember, anything on the top that's exactly like anything on the bottom, we can cancel. So even though this one's in this fraction and this one's in this fraction, you're allowed to cancel those. Same thing here, we can cancel across the way there. So then when you multiply across the top, because these really, all of these are changing into ones, w times 1 is just w, and then 5 times 1 is just 5 on the bottom there. So that's just w over 5. So there's just your first two examples there. Then I have 2 more down here for us to look at. Both multiplication as well. So this top one, we have a 4 in common, but we also have an x in common. So we can pull a 4x out. That leaves us with 1 minus x up on top. And then this, because it has 3 terms, is going to be these kind of reverse FOIL idea where we're factoring. We're going to use a 3 and a 1, and we want our 3 to be positive, so the 2 in the middle stays positive. And then over here, we have 3 terms as well, so we're doing our binomial pairs again. We could use 6 and 1 or 2 and 3, but the only one that's going to get us a 1 in the middle is going to be 2 and 3. So we're going to need our 3 to be positive and our 2 to be negative. And then here we can't really do anything with this 4x. So now we can start canceling. This 4x can go away with this 4x. This x plus 3 can go away with this x plus 3. Then you have to realize here these are almost identical, but this right here we can rewrite as a negative 1 times x minus 1, which is the same as this that's here. So that means that if we rewrite that, we can cancel this x minus 1 out with this x minus 1. So now what we have up on top is this negative 1, so we don't want to forget about that, times x minus 2 up on top. And then on the bottom, we don't have anything left. We just have a 1 left. So the answer to this is really the opposite of x minus 2. That one's a little bit tricky with that change in sign there. And then the last one, we're going to have two binomials up on top here. Factors of 12 that get us to 8 are going to be 6 and 2. Those are both going to be negative. And then here we need factors of 6 that get us to 5. This could be 6 and 1 or 2 and 3, but we need the signs to be different. So it's going to be a minus 6 and a plus 1, so that we have negative 5 in the middle there. And then we have x plus 6 and x minus 6. You recognize that as difference of squares. And then here, it's very similar to this one you'll see, but it's going to factor differently because this time we need both of these signs to be the same so that when we multiply them we get a positive 6 here. So now we can start canceling. We have a minus 2 here and here. We have minus 6 here and here. And it looks like that's it. So here we didn't have a lot that we could cancel, just some. So x plus 6, x minus 6 on the top, x plus 1, and x minus 3 on the bottom. So sometimes they're still going to have kind of a lot going on there. This is a 1 here, sorry, that's hard to see. But you just have to do your best with it, factor out whatever you can, cancel whatever you can, and then move ahead from there. Okay, so that's a multiplication. So let's take a look now. Last couple of problems here, which are division type problems. So let's look at those next. And it's the same process where we are still factoring, but here we have one new thing that we have to remember, and that is to multiply by the reciprocal for whatever follows the division symbol. So we have to think of this now as 3x minus 1 over 1. And this piece that follows the division sign, we're going to have to flip. So we're going to have 6x squared plus 7x minus 3 all over x minus 1. We change the division symbol into multiplication, and then we flip this. So this comes to the top and this goes to the bottom. And then a lot of times you can use this to say, hey, I wonder if this same factor is going to show up here. And it does for us this time. This factors into 3x minus 1, 2x plus 3. This just sits down here. There's nothing we can do with that. This just comes down along. You only flip what follows the multiplication sign. So here our 3x minus 1s are going to cancel. So when I multiply across the top there, I have 2x plus 3 on the top and x minus 1 on the bottom. So just remember to flip whatever follows the division symbol. Okay, so here's a good example here. So this is multiplication. I'm not going to flip this, but I see division here. I'm going to end up flipping this one. Okay, so we're going to have x over x plus 5 times 3x minus 5 over 1. And then this division symbol right here changes into multiplication. And this is the piece that gets flipped. Only what follows. Nothing else. A lot of times kids try to flip other things on the front end. You only flip what follows the division symbol. Now we can start factoring. And really, the only thing that's factorable is this right here. This is difference of squares. So it's going to be 3x plus 5 and 3x minus 5. So now we're at the point where we can start crossing things off. We see an x plus 5 here and here. And we see a 3x minus 5 here and here. And that's all we can do. When we walk across the top here, we only have this x left. We walk across the bottom, we have 1 times 3x plus 5, which is just 3x plus 5. So that one simplified a lot after we did all the work to get to the end there. Okay, we just have 2 more. Let's take a look at these. And so this one on the left, I'm going to go ahead and factor right off the bat here. We're going to use factors of 12 that get us to 7. That's going to be 3 and 4. That's a nice and easy. We see that one a lot. And then factors of 8 that get us to 9. That's going to be 8 and 1. And then here we go. Here's our division symbol. We're going to change that into multiplication. And we're going to flip what follows. Okay? So I'm going to factor this and put it up on top. So factors of 16 that get us to 10 are 8 and 2. And then this one is going to go on the bottom. Factors of 4 that get us to 5 are going to be 4 and 1. So don't forget to flip that. And then at this point in the problem, you can go ahead and cancel. I see an x plus 8. I see an x plus 4, and I believe that's it. Yes. So now on top, I have x plus 3 times x plus 2, and then on the bottom I have x plus 1, the quantity squared, because I have 2 of those. Okay, so not too bad. Last one. So we see this division symbol. We're going to flip what's at the end here. So we need factors of 36 that get us to 5. That's going to be 9 and 4. On the bottom here, x squared minus 16. That's difference of squares. The division symbol changes into multiplication, and then remember to flip-flop this, okay? So this x squared minus 4 gets factored up on top. It's difference of squares. That's going to keep popping up over and over again. You have to recognize it. And then this one's going to go on the bottom. Factors of 8 that get us to 6, that's going to be 4 and 2. So you remember to flop that piece at the end there. So now we're ready to start canceling. We have an x minus 4 there and there. We have an x plus 2 here and here. And I think that that is it. So now it's just kind of cleaning this up. You multiply across the top here. X plus 9, x minus 2. And then on the bottom, x plus 4. But you have 2 of those, so you could just write the quantity squared. There's no need for you to multiply all of that back out on the top and the bottom. You can just leave it just like that. When we get to the quiz on Friday, the answers will look like these. So you just leave it like that. Okay? Okay, guys, thanks for listening. Go back and watch the videos again if you need to. You have 2 worksheets. They're both for completion. They have a little bit of 6-1 and 6-2 on them, so they're a little simplifying and a little bit of multiplication and division, all in the same paper. And then I'll post a quiz for you on Friday, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. You can pop in if you have any questions. Office hours will be at 1 in the afternoon. Take care. Thanks.